Nigari Prashtatara Satarana Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Okay, so we're progressing quite nicely actually. We're getting through, not too slow, not too quick, which is good, isn't it? Good, it's good. I just want to, as usual, I just want to recap from what we did, what we covered last week. I was just looking beforehand. Now, we begin to describe about, first of all, we've heard about the Brahmana. Then we heard about the Southern King. Now, the Southern King is directing Narada Muni to heaven, Divya. So the first chapter was Bhoma on earth. So now we enter, Narada enters into heaven. The Southern King is glorifying Indra, King Indra. He glorifies Indra as being the lord of the three planetary systems. He's got fantastic, compared to the Southern King himself, Lord Indra has a fantastic span of life, described as 71 celestial years, which is countless billions of years from our point of view, yeah? From our relative position. Yeah? And he rides on the great Aravata, is that pronounced? Aravata, the great. And from Aravata, just like Sarabi, any desire can be fulfilled. Yeah? And also we've heard of the sometimes mentioned Bhagavatam, the gardens of Indra, Nanda, or Nandana, celebrated celestial sphere and gardens of Indra, which are unlimitedly opulent. And there's many desire trees we heard about. Some kings glorifying that place. And from these desire trees, interesting, couldn't remember reading it last week, but going over it again, when we hear about desire trees, we may picture different types of fruit coming from the desire tree. But actually, from the desire tree, you can get anything. You can get clothes, ornaments, different songs, different music. So Indra has many of these desire trees. And also, he is protected by none other than the Lord himself, Vamanadev. Remember we were saying about that. So then Narad goes there and he begins to first of all, he gets there and the first thing he sees, in the place of Indra, Vishnu is being worshipped. I think we established that was Vamanadev. I think we concluded that. But anyway, Vishnu was worshipped, stroke Vamanadev. And Indra is glorifying the Lord, and he's in great ecstasy glorifying the Lord. Tears are coming from his eyes in the great ecstasy. From his 1,000 eyes, Indra has 1,000 eyes, so quite a scene. His 1,000 eyes are shedding tears as he's worshipping Brahmanadev. Yeah? And then Narada Muni then begins to glorify Indra. And Indra replies, remember how we replied, along the words of, why are you making fun of me? Are you making fun of me or something? You're calling me the greatest devotee? And he begins to describe how many times the demigods and their kingdom have been defeated and ransacked by the Daityas. Yeah? So many times. They had to flee in fear. And he gave the example Bali, when Bali took over the kingdom of Indra. And he even gave example of his parents prayed for the Lord to appear, to put things right. And he only appeared in the partial incarnation. He didn't come himself, just a partial incarnation. So he saw that as a reason that he hasn't obtained the greatest mercy of the Lord. And he mentioned that in heaven as well, because the Southern King is glorified in heaven. Narada's seen the opulences of heaven. And he's going that in heaven, actually, there is rivalry. There is rivalry and there's faults in heaven and there's envy in heaven between the residents in the heavenly realms. So it's far from a perfect place. And also they're always in constant fear of losing their posts. Yeah. Just like our leaders of today, they're in constant fear of being fined, of losing their posts, of being ridiculed in public. So then he mentions how Upendra Krishna stole from the heavens. He stole the Sudama assembly hall and the Parijat tree. Yeah. And also, he was being worshipped by the cowherds for thousands of generations. But then Krishna stopped that worship. Yeah. And that was Govardhan. Krishna, as we know, he asked the residents of Raj to worship Govardhan instead of Indra. Yeah. So he mentions that. And he mentions that. And when the demigods were praying for the death of Vritasura, who was causing so much havoc in the heavenly realms. So then, instead of Krishna coming himself, then he sent Indra to do that work. And then Indra killed him and became entangled in sinful activities. He killed actually a devotee. Vritasura was a devotee. And he says, yeah, okay, one day the Lord comes, but he only stays to accept our offering. And then he goes away again. So, what type of mercy? Are you joking? You're saying I've got the greatest mercy? Yeah? So Indra's making these points. Then and that's where we left off last week. Indra's saying the Lord doesn't even stay around here. He can't wait to go. So we set the offering. He doesn't stay around here. He's gone. So how can you say I've got the greatest mercy? So that's where we pick it up now, at this verse here, 24 and 25. So let's continue the adventure and see where Narad's going to go next. I think we might have some idea where he's going next. And so let's have some golden hands up. And okay, Radkishore. Just raise the hand, followed by Navalavanga, and then Anupama in third place. Okay, okay. So Radkishore, you can begin the reading today. And we have Bhagavatamrita.
Yes. Then he suddenly comes back. I tell him, we are very much obliged to you for accepting our offerings of Arghya. But he cunningly replies, whenever I am not here to accept your offerings, you may worship Brahma or Shiva instead. Indeed, both of them are not different from me. According to scriptural statements, the three deities, Rudra, Vishnu, and Brahma, are embodiments of the same Supreme Being. Have you forgotten? Commentary. From Indra's standpoint, these words are simply deceitful. Sri Vamandev knows very well that Indra is attracted to worshipping only the Supreme Lord. Yet he teases Indra by quoting from scripture, trying to persuade him to worship someone else. And Indra, compelled by the reverence he feels for Lord Vamana, is forced to honor his request. Thus, we see that sometimes festivals are held in heaven for worshipping Lord Shiva. Text 27. We cannot be certain where he lives. His abode is unapproachable, difficult for even sages to attain. Sometimes he is in a Vaikuntha, sometimes on a Dhru's planet, and sometimes within the ocean of milk. Narad might ask, then why don't you join your Lord? Indra answers that he is unsure where the Lord is. He might be in Vaikuntha, beyond the material world, or else on Vaikuntha planet Ramapriya, inside this universe. He might be on Dhruva's planet, known as Vishnupad, or he might be on the island of Swetadeep, in the ocean of milk. Text 28. And now he is in Dwarka, but even about this, there is no certainty. Sometimes he goes from there to the house of the Pandavas, and sometimes to Mathura. Text 29. In Mathura, furthermore, he is sometimes in the city and sometimes wandering in Gokul from forest to forest. So it is difficult for us to see him. What to speak of obtaining his mercy? Indra should be able to see Krishna very easily, because when Indra speaks these words, Krishna is appearing on the earth. But the appearance of Lord Sri Krishna is very confidential. Indra has difficulty understanding why the Lord he knows as his brother descended on the earth. In Harivansha 2.69 states that when Narada had come previously as Krishna's messenger to ask Indra for the Parijat flower for Queen Satyabhama, Indra had expressed concern that his brother Krishna seemed to have become degraded by the association of the residents of earth. In particular, Indra thought that Krishna was coming too much under the control of women. Indra is confused by Krishna's constant wandering on the earth. The Lord spends a short time in Gokul, sporting in Mahavan, Vrindavan, or other forests. He then lives a few years in Mathura and finally settles down in Dwarka. Still from there, he constantly travels to Mithila, to Hastinapur, to visit the Pandavas, and also come back to Vrajbhumi. Krishna does in fact sometimes return from Dwarka to Vrindavan, as the residents of Dwarka testified. O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Vrindavan, Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like million years. O infallible one, at that time, our eyes become useless, as if bereft of the sun. Text 30. But you should know, O best son of Brahma, that your own father is a true recipient of the favor of Lord Hari. He is directly the son of Lord Vishnu, husband of Lakshmi. Commentary. The four Kumaras headed by Sanak are senior to Narad by age, as are several other sons of Brahma, but Narad is superior in virtue of his pure devotion to Lord Lakshmi Kanta. But even better than the best son is the father, born not from the mother Lakshmi's womb, but directly from the navel of the Supreme Person.
Okay, perhaps we'll just pause there and someone else can read, because now we're going to hear about Lord Brahma, yeah, who is the creator of the universe. So yeah, if you didn't know, I'll just backtrack here. This verse here, this is quite a well-known verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because it's quite a mysterious verse, because the pastimes that Sukadeva Goswami speaks in Srimad Bhagavatam, that he speaks to Narad Parikshit, then Sukadeva Goswami doesn't give any accounts or narrations of Krishna ever returning back to Vrindavan when he leaves. Yeah? But here in seed form, it is given. And therefore, our acharyas do speak of when Krishna returned to Raj many times. And that's my Srila Shivam Swami Maharaj, and he gives accounts of those returnings in the book called the Krishna Sangita, Meetings with Krishna. Because here it says, O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away, so this is the residents of Dwarka, they're saying, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan. So here it is, Krishna does return to Vrindavan. or Hastinapura. Of course, we know transcendentally he never leaves Vrindavan. That's more in the in a in the path of meditation of the gopis. He doesn't take a step outside Vrindavan. But for his manifest pastimes, he does seem to leave to, as we know, to enact the pastime, the Vishnu aspect of killing demons. But here, in this verse, it says that he returns. So our acharyas will elaborate on this verse, and they give accounts of Krishna's returning, then going, returning, then going, returning, and going. As you can imagine, that the ecstasy and trauma that causes in the residence of Vrindavan. One, that the ecstasy when he returns is described there in the Krishna Samgita, that even the trees uproot and go running to where Krishna is entering Vrindavan. Everyone is just, they think it's a dream. They can't actually believe it at first. And then there's pastimes going in Vrindavan, there's Ras Leela and everything. And then they wake up one morning and Krishna has gone. He's gone back, like that. So, yeah, any other questions about these two little series of verses? So we're just finishing the episode with Indra Dev. Yeah, I don't know if some of you might have been thinking there's that verse that describes where does the Lord reside? And he doesn't reside here, doesn't reside there. He stays sometimes there, sometimes there. There's a verse that describes where he always stays where the Lord, where the devotees are reciting his pastimes.
Yeah.
There's a verse that describes like that. He is always present there. So other than that, the Lord is always on the move. He's always moving. Even the residents of Vrindavan, he never stays in one place for long. Yeah.
This in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. He lives in a devotee's heart.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah. That's where he's in the core of in the core of the heart of his devotees through the loving remembrance and service to him. He is there. But other than that, his pastimes are characterized by Vipalamba and Sambhoga, meeting and separation. Yeah. Even Mother Yasoda, she feels separation each day when he goes to herd the cows. And the forest feels separation each day when he goes back home. The gopis feel separation each day when he's in there. When Radharani feels separation when they wake up in the morning. They have to go to their own abodes. This is constant. And the residents of Dwarka feel separation when he went to go and take part in the battle of Kurukshetra. And then he came back. So there's constant ecstasy of meeting and separation. Vipalamba and Sambhoga. So anyway, this is being mentioned about, dare we say, the Lord's restless nature. Restless because he's always restless for the love of his devotees. So he's quite busy going here and there. He's not busy like us in the same sense, but Krishna's very active, upholding religious principles, pleasing his devotees, appearing before purified, pure-hearted yogis who are doing austerities for thousands of years. So Indra's putting that forward as he has not obtained the mercy of the Lord. He doesn't stay around. Anything else on that? Any reflections? Otherwise we can hear about Brahma.
I was just gonna, so Krishna does go back to Vrindavan? Because when I was reading
Yes.
that book, Separation by Govind Maharaj, I was, even there it said, even when they asked Balaram to go back and pacify Rajabhasis, he said, no, I can't go because I've already been once, and I said that Krishna would come and Krishna is not going. Then Subhadra was asked and Uddhava was asked, and none of them would go because Krishna hadn't been, from that book I was reading. So
But yeah, but did he go eventually?
no, in that book, no, he doesn't go. It's this separation. No, it doesn't. He doesn't go.
Just yeah, so that's what makes it even more mysterious. Because here in this verse,
I
so
mean, that's what Govind Maharaj is saying. So I was just wanted
yeah,
to.
it's quite mysterious. So I think without looking in further into detail, I think because the Lord Krishna is constantly appearing within the earthly realm. When he winds up one pastime, then he appears in that. So, but within the expanse of Krishna's pastimes in Bhoma, then there is account of Krishna coming and going to Vrindavan, which the Goswamis write about in quite some detail. So it's there in Shastra. But there you're going to read some pastimes where the emphasis is separation. So, and it's not highlighted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there is here's you could say here's the proof.
Yeah.
Right. But it's quite mysterious because I know that account you're reciting. It's a well-known pastime.
Yeah.
I can only say it might be in different kalpas. There's the pastimes are collected together from different kalpas. You know, when the Lord appears on planet Earth, in the earthly realm, after the day of Lord, after the is it night of Lord Brahma or something?
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe it, but I was comparing with the book.
Yeah. So you might have to, perhaps you can do a study on it, find out.
He never leaves Vrindavan.
Oh, yeah. This
Yeah,
is
that's right.
that way. No, yeah, that way. No, I mean,
No, but the reason because Krishna wanted them for the higher taste of separation.
Yeah.
So that's what it is.
Yeah.
That separation, the desire to serve him is so much more greater than him being physically there.
So he leaves.
Yogamaya played her part,
Yeah.
basically.
He leaves and then he returns. Then he leaves and then he returns.
Yes.
And he makes at the end, well, not at the end, where one conclusion is that Krishna's being present or not, it's the same for the gopis.
Yeah.
It's just whether he's present or not, it's just the same. Exactly the same. They're so deeply entrenched in faults of Krishna that when he's absent, they're full of faults of him. When he's present, they're full of faults of him, and it becomes one constant stream of being absorbed in Krishna.
Also in Brihad Bhagavatam, part 3, which we are doing with Gurudev, that's the part we finished last week, and that's where
Doing with who is Gurudev?
my Gurudev Niranjan Swami.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And he was referring to the text which comes right towards the end in book part 1.
Okay.
And there he says, even if I go, this is where Uddhava, he's talking to Uddhava, Narad Muni, and all the others, and his wives were there. And he says, they will suffer either way. If I go, by the time they are pacified, I'll be gone again. So it'll be suffering for them, whether I'm coming or going. So it's best let them experience the topmost love for him in separation.
So we're looking forward to get to that part.
That's what's said in the book as well.
Yeah. And right now, because he was referring to the last chapter, even in this book, right towards the end when he is talking about it, you know, when he finally talks about the gopis, the highest recipient.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing. I personally cannot understand how the deeper the love, if you don't see Krishna, because it was so pure, it's just beyond me. But that's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. There's one verse just remind me of that. When the residents are with are with Krishna, they only see one Krishna. But when he's not present, they see him everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
They seem because of their feelings of separation. Yeah. So
Okay.
let's then listen. Anything else on that? We can. Yes.
Just to ask one small thing, Prabhu. Is it this gopis are in the basically we call the unmada state? They are unmad, yeah.
That description is given on Mother. Specifically, it's in relationship to Radharani, who's speaking to the bull, and especially when Krishna does leave for Mathura, they do become as mad women, especially Chandravali.
Just now you said, Prabhu.
Chandravali and Radharani.
Prabhu, just now you mentioned when Krishna is there, they see only one Krishna. When he's not there, everywhere. So it's kind of a ummada state, isn't it?
Yeah, divine on Mother.
Yeah, of course,
Right.
yes. Yeah, nothing.
Area. Divine madness, Yeah.
It is so difficult to, oh my God, I can't
Yeah.
comprehend, being honest.
It'd be we can't conceive of these things, but if we was to if we was ever blessed to actually see Radharani in the state, you'd be scared of the emotions, that's what happens to the cowboy girls when they are scared they are scared of the symptoms that Radharani is exhibiting in a separation from Krishna. It's so it's if she's going to die at any moment.
Yeah.
It's quite very intense. All right, let's read about Brahma Shiva. Let's come back down to Divya. We've just gone to the log of Vrindavan. let's come back to the material world, and let's think Mogalaranga. You can take us into the wonders of Brahma.
Is it
31, I think.
text
31.
31? Okay. 31. In one day of Brahma, 14 Indras like me come and go, along with different sets of Manus and all the demigods. That one day equals 1,000 cycles of earthly ages. Text 32. According to the scriptures, Brahma's night is of the same duration. 360 of such days and nights make one of his years, and his life lasts for 100 years. Commentary. 14 times in each day of Brahma, different Indras, sages, demigods, Manus, sons of Manu, and special incarnations of the Supreme Lord come and go. Manvanvatara, Manar, Deva, Manuputra, Suresvara, Riso, Rinsavataras Ja, Hare Sad Vidham Uchade. In each reign of Manu, 6 manifestations of Lord Hari appear. Indra, the chief demigods, the ruling Manu, the sons of Manu, the great sages, and the partial incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purandara, Indra, has heard about all this, but is too short-lived to have realized it directly. Text 33. He is the creator of the planets and the rulers he assigns them. He is the world's chief protector, the dispenser of the fruits of karma, and at the onset of his night, the destroyer of the world. Text 34. The Mahapurusa, the thousand-headed form of the Lord, is always directly visible on Brahma's planet, personally accepting the countless oblations offered him and thus always giving delight to his devotees. Commentary. At the beginning of each day of his life, Lord Brahma anoints qualified candidates to serve as Indra, the sages, the Prajapatis, and other demigods. Also, he protects the universe from chaos by establishing Vedic sacrifice and the social laws for individual classes of human beings. Thus, Brahma not only creates the universe, but maintains it as well. Indra also says that he destroys it because when Lord Brahma goes to sleep at night, a break in his meditation partially devastates the universe. When Hiranyakashipu worshipped Brahma, and with the demoniac aim of subverting the universal order, he glorified Brahma similarly. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord within this universe. At the end of each day of his life,
The universe is fully covered with dense darkness by the influence of time, and then again, during his next day, that self-effulgent Lord, by his own effulgence, manifests, maintains, and destroys the entire cosmic manifestation through the material energy, which is invested with the three modes of material nature. He, Lord Brahma, is the shelter of those modes of nature, Sattvagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Living together with Brahma on his planet is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, called the Mahapurusa. He is the thousand-headed first incarnation, Mahavishnu, whose further expansion in Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Both of these forms are described in Srimad Bhagavatam in the first and second cantos. The first descendant of the Supreme into the material world is the Mahapurusa, Bhagavatam 2.642. In the beginning of creation, the Lord first expanded himself in the universal form of the Purusa incarnation and manifested all the ingredients for the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. A part of the Purusa lies down within the water of the universe. From the navel lake of his body sprouts a lotus stem, and from the lotus flower atop this stem, Brahma, the master of all engineers in the universe, becomes manifest. It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusa, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. The devotees with their perfect eyes see the transcendental form of the Purusa, who has thousands of legs, thighs, arms, and faces, all extraordinary. In that body there are thousands of heads, ears, eyes, and noses. They are decorated with thousands of helmets and glowing earrings, and are adorned with garlands. This form is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. Lord Mahapurusa is the support of material nature, and so he is described as the original source of the basic causes of creation, the 5 gross elements and 11 senses. He performs his pastime of creation while lying in the ocean that fills the bottom half of the universe. From his navel appears a lotus stem, from which all the forms and configurations of material existence will be manifest. And at the top of the stem grows a flower where Brahma, the chief engineer of creation, is born. Brahma discovered inside the lotus stem of his birth the detailed plans of creation. Brahma saw that the lotus on which he was situated was spread throughout the universe, and he contemplated how to create all the planets which were previously merged in that very same lotus. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the whorl of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of worlds, and later into 14 divisions, Bhagavatam 3.10.7-8. In meditation, Brahma discovered the 1,000-headed Mahapurusa, who at first had been invisible to him from his lotus seat. He offered prayers to that Lord and made a special request. My dear Lord, may you come and live on my planet in this very form. Thus, the first Lord of creation became Brahma's constant guest. The Mahapurusa is called Visuddham, all pure, because even while giving shelter to the material energy, he remains untouched by the faults of matter. He is Sattvam, substantial reality, because he is the all-pervading absolute truth. He is an incarnation of Godhead, but is also called the fountainhead of all other incarnations. This can be said because he is the total support of material nature, and as such, he is almost as complete a manifestation of the Supreme as the master of Vaikuntha, Sri Narayana. In addition, almost all the incarnations of Narayana appear in this world during the rule of the Mahapurusa's appointed servant Brahma. The 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 11.4.3-4 describes Lord Mahapurusa. When the primeval Lord Narayana created his universal body out of the 5 elements produced from himself and then entered within that universal body by his own plenary portion. He thus became known as the Purusa. Elaborately arranged within his body are the three planetary systems of this universe. His transcendental senses generate the knowledge-acquiring and active senses of all embodied beings. His consciousness generates conditioned knowledge, and his powerful breathing produces the bodily strength, sensory power, and conditioned activities of the embodied souls. He is the prime mover through the agency of the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and thus the universe is created, maintained, and annihilated. The Mahapurusa produced the total body of the universe and entered it as his pastime, but he did not do so for his own enjoyment. Rather, the enjoyer of the universal body is the most pious of conditioned beings, Brahma. The Lord in his creative feature is called Purusa because he lays down sete within the city of the universal shell. His beautiful body accommodates all the three worlds, and his pastimes consist of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. As Indra is stating, Lord Mahapurusa on Brahmaloka consumes the offerings made in sacrifice, which resemble a constantly flowing river, because on Brahmaloka so many sacrifices are always being performed. Thanks to the Lord's being satisfied by these offerings, the inhabitants of Brahma's planet are perpetually blissful. It is true that Lord Mahapurusa is sometimes absent when he merges into Shri Krishna to join him in Mathuradam on earth, and the ecstasy on Brahmaloka is accordingly interrupted. But time on Brahmaloka is so expansive that the duration of Shri Krishna's descent is barely noticeable. In fact, on Brahmaloka, Lord Mahapurusa is seen constantly.
Okay, that's quite an elaborate, perhaps the longest purport we have read, the longest commentary. So
Yeah.
compared to Indra, Lord Brahma is in a much superior position, and he's been awarded a much, a inconceivable amount of empowerment. And think of the austerities that Lord Brahma did when he was trying to find out the source of his creation. So he has been gifted with much more empowerment for a much more worthy cause to ultimately bring the jivas back to Godhead. Ultimately, that's what the material world is for. Yeah? So there's one person who's the creator of this material universe. It's very interesting, this purport is also glorifying the different the Purusha or the expansions of the Lord Narayan, and Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kishore Vishnu. But they all come about within Brahma's day. So anyway, Brahma is definitely even a higher post than Indra.
Yeah, Prabhu, can I ask a question about
Try and answer.
The Lord Mahapurusa is sometimes absent when he merges into Sri Krishna to join him in Mathuradam on earth. Is that for a particular pastime, or I don't know?
That's general. That's general. I think when the Lord does appear on earth, then all the incarnations, appear within the body of the Swayam Rupa Krishna. That's why we only need worship Krishna, because all the incarnations are within the transcendental body of Krishna.
Yeah, so this Mahapurusa joins Krishna, and so do other Purusas like Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu.
Yeah, they're all contained within him. We're using this word a lot because that's all inconceivably. Because there is, do you know when Brahma, when he takes the cowherd boys and calves away, then and then when Lord Brahma is embarrassed and he comes before the Lord, and the Lord then manifests, then all the calves and cowboys, which are expansions of Vishnu, they all come out of the transcendental body of Gopal. And there's all these Vishnu expansions. And from these Vishnu expansions, there's also expansions of Shiva. And also that come from that is expansions of Mahavishnu and all the Purusha incarnations. And Lord Brahma is seeing this with his 8 eyes, and he can't believe what he's seeing. It's all coming from Gopal, young little Gopal. It's the Supreme Lord. And then in an instant, all of that merges back into the body of Gopal, Krishna. All goes back into the body. So that's signifying that Krishna is the origin of all of these forms. So they manifest sometimes externally, sometimes they manifest within him. Sometimes they actually manifest, sometimes they become merged within the body of Krishna. Like Vishnu is within the body of Krishna. Because it's difficult for us to conceive because we're like thinking someone's inside someone. It's not, but that's the only language we have got to describe it. I mean, that's the best we can do. But it's not exactly like, you've got these Russian dolls where one fits into the other. It's not, that's the best we can do with the language you have, but everything, that's why it's describing that the Atra Vigraha, the deity form of the Lord, has all the incarnations within as well. Also, the Atra Vigraha is considered to have that power as well. It's all of Krishna. So therefore, we are worshipping the complete personality of Godhead when we worship Krishna. So, did you have anything further on that, Mavalabanga? I don't know if I did address your question. But
Yeah.
as it's stated here, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so whether there's still a manifestation of the Mahapurusha who's serving his purposes, I don't know. When he merges into the body of Krishna.
They said he's absent from Brahmaloka.
Yeah, so he's absent. So there you go. Thank you for clarifying that. So there is an absence because he's running around on planet Earth killing demons. So he's absent. Yeah, the Lord can be present everywhere if he wants. He can be present. He has different manifestations, and he can still be present. But also, it seems here we are learning here, and hearing about the Lord's absence in places because of his presence in another place. So he chooses to be absent for some time. Again, creating this dependence and Ripalamba. So yeah.
Prabhu, can I ask a question?
Yes,
where it says Brahma discovered the 1,000-headed Mahapurusha and he offered prayers. So is that the prayers Brahma Samhita? Is that the prayers that he offered at that stage?
Interesting. I took note of that as well. The 1,000-headed Purusha. So that's the first aspect of the Lord that he saw when he entered into the own lotus stem.
Mm-hmm.
It's described. 1,000-headed Purusha. But perhaps we'll have to study a bit more because as far as I understood, he actually couldn't find the end of this stem of the lotus, and he felt his life to be ebbing out. So he thought he'd better go back up to the top before he went any further. Just like if you're in a swimming pool and you're diving down, you don't dive down too deep if you know you're going to run out of breath. So Lord Brahma came back up. And as far as I understood, he was eventually given darshan of Krishna came and shook his hand. So here it's described as a 1,000-headed Mahapurusha.
Yeah.
So I don't know, without further study, I couldn't disentangle that. But there is this 1,000, you got darshan, the 1,000-headed Purusha. The 1,000's the head. Or perhaps he understood the Lord's incarnation to be situated everywhere. His head's everywhere. His mouth's everywhere. He's completely omnipresent and omnipotent. 1,000.
Beautiful.
Whatever it was a fantastic darshan from Lord Brahma.
Beautiful.
So you think of Indra is really, in one sense, he's not a pure devotee. Is that a right statement to describe
Yeah.
Indra as not a pure devotee? He's like the demigods. They are what's known as sakam. Did I get that? Sakam means mixed.
Mixed.
They have mixed aspirations. They are devoted to God. They are devoted to the Lord, but they have their own specific desires as well. But because they're so much devoted to the Lord, then those desires are fulfilled for the most part within the Lord's service. So Indra plays the part of the King of Heaven in the Lord's service. Yeah. But Lord Brahma is a bit different. Yeah, because he spoke the as we know, he spoke the Govindam prayers, which is, if you read those prayers, it's prayers of pure devotion, that's for sure. But with all due respect to Indra, you never hear such prayers like that come from Indra. As you know, he gets in trouble quite a few times. But still, according to our little insect life here on this planet Earth in Kali Yuga, he is to be given great respect.
I was just thinking the way he was saying about Krishna, oh, because he's with so many women, he's worried about him, and, you know, in the paragraph.
Because he's with so many women. Say that again, I missed that.
Wasn't it somewhere there it said that he's worried about Krishna because he's with associating with so many women?
Oh yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was a bit like,
Yeah, he thought it was becoming like henpecked or something, being affected. That was Indra's statement.
yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, thank you. I remember that as well. So he has a bit of a conditioned perspective of Krishna. And I think he admits it there because he doesn't live long enough to actually conceive of the life of Lord Brahma. He can hear about it, but he has no, just like us, there's no experience of it. And it seems like Indra has these, to one degree or another, he has maybe these misconceptions of Krishna. Doesn't know can't really comprehend his complete transcendental nature.
Krishna was coming under too much control of a women. If you send somebody to get Parijata flower for his queen.
Yeah, that's a
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I
Yeah.
ask a question, Prabhu?
yes, please.
Here it's a Lord Mahapurusha. When you say Lord Mahapurusha, so all it is Garbhodaksha, Vishnu, Mahavishnu, all three together?
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyone else can answer that question?
Yeah, isn't it all the Vishnus? Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay. Mahavishnu.
Yeah, that's what
It's Mahavishnu, no? Is it Mahavishnu?
no, Mahavishnu and then Garbhodaksha Vishnu and Kshirodaksha.
Yeah, and then Kishore Daksha Vishnu.
Yeah.
All are in Krishna.
All are in Krishna. So, but when you
They
say
all
Lord
come from Krishna.
Mahapurusha, when they address as Indra is stating, Lord Mahapurusha means all three together, or everyone together.
I don't know about Chandravalima. You're saying that. Have you read that or you remember that?
No, I just
I think Mahapurusha is the
Mahavishnu?
first. Mahavishnu.
first, yeah.
And then from that expands Garbhodaksha, from that it expands.
Only the first. Okay.
Yeah.
Krishna is an onion, essentially.
Say that again.
Krishna is like an onion, for the lack of a better example.
Okay, the peelings. Okay, okay.
All right, yeah. Can you give a purple to that? What do you mean by that exactly, Nova? It's like an onion?
Because they got lots of peels. That's what I believe what she meant.
Contained in him, everything, even us. to some extent. And
So
some,
you think like because different the onion sheds layers of.
Yes, peeled it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's an interesting example.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Lord is like a transcendental onion.
Oh,
Yeah,
So this example was given. I have heard it by, I don't know if it was Maharaj or in one of the classes. This example was given of an onion.
really, it's the first time I heard that. Nice.
Yeah,
is it
no, I have.
yeah, but it's
I
yeah,
thought we didn't eat onions, but here the Lord's compared to an onion.
to understand.
But then I would say that what we've, what we read so often is an expansion of the expansion, because it all starts with Balram.
Yeah, follow
And
on.
his
So it starts with
expansion.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Then it's the first
Yeah,
expansion.
Krishna, first expansion is Balram, and then expansion, and their expansion. So it's expansion of the expansion. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's it. And I've never managed to satisfactorily study and understand the process of creation and how it works. So when I'm asked questions on it, I'm often not completely clear. And I left it. But anyway, the main essence here is Lord Brahma is an extraordinary person. So he's been entrusted with very profound empowerment to actually create the material universes. So he's a trusted servant of the Lord.
Mm.
So he has received great mercy.
Prabhu, I just wanted to, can I say something? Because
Yeah.
this morning, Jananandana Maharaj was giving the class at Bhaktivedanta Manor. Brahma Vimona Leela was saying, he said, I don't know, this is what I understood. Did he really steal the calves and these gopas? No, that is, he didn't do it. It is just a lesson.
Yeah, where did I hear that? I heard that
Yogamaya did it. It was explained
Yeah.
beautifully by my Gurudev that it was Yogamaya at work, because Brahma actually wanted a pastime with Krishna.
Yeah. And
So
I
that's
think
how it was arranged.
And I think Janananda Maharaj also told us when he gave class here as well of that pastime.
Okay.
And it's interesting. It's the first time I've heard that.
This morning, and he said, I don't want to get into that.
I know.
He was describing, he was giving an example of how Sita, it was the Maya Sita that Ravan took. So
Yeah, that
in the
we
same
know.
way, Indra had no scope of ever taking the Lord's personal associates away. Brahma had no scope to do that. So yeah. So there was Yogamaya.
This one I never heard before, Prabhu. Today I will, and then since you are saying the same thing, like very close, and I thought you mentioned.
Yeah, it's like that thing. Like the more you hear about Krishna's pastimes, then the more things get revealed. The details, different layers, like an onion.
Like an onion.
Elaborate on this sentence, the last sentence. Last sentence of the text. Brahmaloka. But the time on Brahmaloka is so expansive that the duration of Sri Krishna's descent is barely noticeable.
Yeah.
In effect, on Brahmaloka, Lord Mahapurusa is seen constantly. What is that?
You understand? So in other words, like when Brahma took let's say he took the Yogamaya expansion of the cowboys and calves, he took them to his planet for, I think, let's get this right. He was gone for on his planet, it was for a few seconds. Now, in that few seconds, a year had passed on planet Earth.
Yeah.
But then he brought them back after short few spans of time, and a year had gone past.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the relative time of Lord Brahma. So when Krishna appears, it's really for a small amount of time. 125 years is like probably about 1 minute 4 seconds in Brahma's realm.
Mm.
Yeah, just like there's that amazing story of when Indra goes to Lord Brahma, isn't it? In the what's that book called? The pastime of Jagannath Vallabhataka, something like that. And he goes to kingdom of Brahma, and he comes back, and like thousands of years have gone by, and no one even heard of his name. So yeah, so that's why it's explained like that. It's
Mm.
barely noticeable.
Mm.
But the Mahapurusha on Brahmaloka is a ever-present deity, or ever-present form that is worshipped. So there you go. Yeah.
So we are speaking about 1,000-headed. What is that? This came up. I got confused. Are you
Yeah, I
talking?
got confused as well. I mean, it's yeah. I just we'll have to look at that. I mean, it's there. I've heard it described before. The Mahapurusha. That's the 1,000-headed Mahapurusha, the original Mahavishnu. As far as I understand, 1,000-headed Mahapurusha is Mahavishnu from, as we described, the different Purusha incarnations come from. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Very confusing.
Yeah. It's where we got. Time just seems to talking about time being relative. It's like we've got 2 minutes to go. And time is just been absorbed in Krishna Gita. Let's have a look. Let's look at the next verse.
But it's like the 1,000-headed thing isn't Anand says 1,000-headed, so it's Mahavishnu kind of.
What I do is I can look that up, and next week I can get some. Because I like to clarify it myself. Look up what is Mahapurusha, and interesting. That's the deity, or that's the form that Lord Brahma saw
Yeah.
first, Mahapurusha. So perhaps I have to do some inquiry. So what's the time?
35 we are on now, yeah.
35. Well, let me just read. I could give you thousands of other reasons why Brahma is the real object of Krishna's mercy. So this is Indra who's speaking, isn't it? What more needs to be said? He is in fact Krishna himself. Wow. You know this since it is proclaimed in both Shruti and Smriti. You must also be familiar, my lord, with other aspects of Brahma's greatness and the greatness of the residents of this planet. So just finish by reading this commentary. Many scriptures, including Srimad Bhagavatam, teach that Lord Brahma is an empowered incarnation of Vishnu. So that's what Lord Indra means, yeah? That he is an incarnation of Vishnu. Lord Vishnu said, Brahma and Lord Shiva and I are the supreme cause of the material manifestation. I am the super soul who is self-sufficient witness, both impersonally, but impersonally there is no difference between Brahma, Lord Shiva, and me. My dear Daksha Bhija, I am the original personality of Godhead, but in order to create, maintain, and annihilate the cosmic manifestation, I act through my material energy, and according to the different grades of activity, my representations are differently named. One who does not consider Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, or the living entities in general, to be separate from the Supreme, and to know Brahman actually realizes peace. Others do not. So we'll stop there. And I just interesting how this description, obviously, this we have Bhagavatam Rita, it goes into quite a lot of detail actually about the Lord's incarnations and his manifestations. And that's the style and the subject often of Sanatana Goswami's writings. And that's what he was taught by Lord Chaitanya as well. Described to Sanatana Goswami in the Chaitanya Charitamrita the list of different incarnations of the Lord. So Sanatana Swami is expanding on that here in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So we're going to hear a lot more about all the different incarnations and manifestations of Krishna in this reading of Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So that's Sanatana Swami's one of his expertise, composed subject. Okay. All right. So let's stop there then for complete this week's Krishna Katha, and let's keep the Vaisheshika say, just keep the sound vibration going.
Yeah.
Keep on hearing. Let's keep hearing and chanting, and so have a wonderful bank holiday weekend, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I'm sure you will be attending different classes online or kirtans. But thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, it's okay for me to come out and the meeting will still go on. Yeah?
Sorry about yesterday. All of a sudden it was like, because it's nice to just say
Yeah.
bye to everybody in a nicer way. Thank you for joining like that. Sorry.
Yeah. No, next time I can do that. I can make someone else do that.
Yes, yeah. Is that okay?
Okay, so have a wonderful weekend in Krishna consciousness. Look forward to being with you on Monday.
Well, we'll still be having the class on Monday, right?
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
that's the plan. Hari
Okay.
Bol. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
I